Human trafficking is a crime against an individual, and they are forced, defrauded, or coerced into doing something that they didn't want to do, such as sexual exploitation and forced labor. First, there's people who confuse human trafficking with human smuggling. Human smuggling is when an individual is taken from one point and brought to another. It has to involve someone crossing an international border. When we talk about human trafficking, though that can happen, that is not what human trafficking is. Another misconception is that this is only there's only sexual exploitation. There's people who are just forced to be prostitutes or become strippers. However, there's a whole labor side that people don't necessarily know that's out there. Another thing is that this is only happening to women. This is only an international issue. However, if you look at the numbers, about 55% are female and 45% are male. Yes, it's happening internationally, and yes, people are being brought into the United States. However, this is an extremely domestic issue as well. US-born citizens are being trafficked.
We're such a big city. We're the fourth largest city in the United States. We're near international borders. We have international airports and seaports, so people come and go all the time. And it's really diverse here. There's a lot of different people, a lot of cultures. So if you bring in somebody, traffic them from international, it's really easy to hide them. So that amazing diversity, that amazing culture can actually work against us. All these risk factors make Houston one of the hubs for human trafficking. We have a reputation for being the biggest one, but that's not necessarily true. Because what we do here is we have a lot of numbers for all these victims that we've rescued, but everywhere has victims. We're just doing a lot in Houston to make sure we're actually helping people and getting them out of trafficking.
Victims can be entered into human trafficking by anyone, whether he or she is a boyfriend or a parent. Victims are also lured on the internet or at parties where students will hang around the wrong crowd and be tricked into a dark situation. False offers induce people into human trafficking situations. Examples include false romantic relationships, debt bondage, or the placement into a job other than that what was promised. The targeted victims are not based on age, it's based on vulnerability. Whether you're a 20-year-old lacking attention or a 12-year-old that doesn't have enough food to eat, a pimp looks for a scenario where basic needs are not being met. There are two types of pimps. One is a guerrilla pimp where victims are ordered around with physical abuse. The second type of pimp is the Romeo, where victims are manipulated and tricked into loving the pimp. Conditions of the life of a victim may vary, but all situations involve being compelled and forced to work. It's difficult to recognize where victims are located. For example, brothels are generally hidden as a nail salon, massage parlor, or even a hotel. Victims are oppressed, so they can't call for help, which is why awareness is so important. Victims are saved when an outsider reports the situation. But when the victim is rescued, it's not a fairy tale ending. If the family was not involved in the trafficking, then the victim's family doesn't understand why the victim would stay with their pimp or boss, and they don't understand how to properly integrate the victim back into society and help them cope with the trauma they faced.
Social media has become an outlet for human traffickers looking for victims who are facing family problems or whose basic needs are not being met. Be mindful of who you talk to on the internet and of what you post. Don't post about how unhappy you are at home or personal problems, because traffickers often pose as teens themselves who want to take you out of your current situation and put you into a happier one.
A lot of the times the clothes that we wear, or where our food comes from, or our cell phones can all be made through slave labor. And so if we look for things that are verified to be what's called fair trade, made without any kind of forced labor, buying those things and having those companies do better is going to help fight human trafficking, because then the companies who are using slave labor, they're not selling their product because people won't buy it anymore. willing to ask a few questions of somebody that looks like they might be in a tough situation, or for a situation that seems out of place. Just be a friend to them. Get to know them a little bit, see if anything doesn't make sense in their story, or if it sounds like they might be a trafficking victim. So we just have to think about what that person is going through, not necessarily think as, oh, they just work in a kitchen, or, oh, they work in the sex trade, things like that, which can be, we might not think very well of that person, we might think of them negatively, but we have to step back and realize this could be a trafficking victim. They may not want to be doing this, and treat them as the human being that they deserve to be treated as.